All right, Ultimate Hoops Nation, my name is Reed Nelson. His name is Yalkafas. This is This Week in Rec, Final Four edition. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Good.
First game of the night, Adventures. Them shot about as bad from the free throw line as you could shoot. They didn't play necessarily well. They forced the issue at they were down 5 late, but they just. What are your thoughts on them's performance specifically?
Well, we kind of highlighted in the broadcast what I thought. I thought, and I mentioned it, Devin started pressing a little too much. He started taking really bad shots. We just knew that was going to happen once them was down 7-8 points. Disappointed in Julius's play tonight. He had 6 or 7 open jump shots, and he just could not get one to fall. His free throw shooting was poor. He might have gone, 3 for 8 from the free throw line. Maybe I jinxed him yesterday, but I still think he's the most underrated player in rec. I mean, everybody has a bad game, but he really struggled, and they needed him to step up. And Jensen filled in as that second guy behind Devin, but Julius needed to be there. Quentin Brown had a decent game, decent all-around game, but they're just missing that extra piece.
So I had a chance to speak with Anthony Thompson from them, and this is what he had to say. All right, UH Nation, I'm here with Anthony Thompson of them. Not the result you guys wanted tonight. What happened?
The Avengers made shots. We didn't play bad defense. If you think about it, we let the Avengers score about 64 points, minus the free throws at the end. They scored, 71 or something like that. So I think shots weren't falling on offense. Our offense got a little stagnant, and we were forcing a lot of shots, and they weren't going down. And then, of course, we missed a lot of free throws.
Was the stage too big for you guys?
Stage wasn't too big. Stage is never too big for us. If you look, every player on our team is really confident. We can beat anybody. If you allude to my previous interview, anybody can be beat. But I just think we just weren't ready to play tonight. Everything we envisioned didn't go according to plan. Avengers slowed the ball down, took their time. Like one possession, I remember we were down by about 8 points. They held the ball for about 2 minutes, moving it around our zone, and then found the wide open 3, and that, I think, was a game changer right there.
You guys struggled mightily from the free throw line. Any reason behind that? See, we discussed it maybe being nerves. There's a reason why you guys were shooting so poorly from the free throw line. Any other thoughts?
Big game jitters. It was our first Final Four. Some of our first Final Four. I've played it once with the Fob 5, but I just think they weren't falling. At the end we shot free throws, but it was that middle stretch where I remember one time we missed 5 free throws in a row, which killed us.
What does the team look like next season?
I don't know. We got to discuss it yet. I remember when I discussed it previous, this was speculated to be them's last season because Devin was contemplating moving to California, and then other issues among personal issues. But I don't know. We talked about it. I told him I'd play with them one season and go back to the Blue Chips with Chris Daly coming back. So I don't know. I'll talk to my guys and see what they have to say.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you, Reed.
That was Anthony Thompson for them. Obviously spoke a little bit about their plans for the future. Talked a little bit about who they might be adding. So it'll be interesting to see. Do you feel that them is now I don't want to say marquee franchise, but a top-tier franchise in the same breath as the Red Devils, the Lakers, the Avengers, kind of the teams that are there all the time but have not won a title yet? Or do you think they're not there yet?
Well, what do you mean there all the time? This is the first time they've ever been this far.
Well, do you think that they've now gotten into that group conversation?
I think you have to do it. A couple times. The Red Devils, once they got into the Final Four, there weren't any believers. I was one that said, I just don't think they're the team. And then they made it to another Final Four, and then another Final Four, or Elite Eight. So I think them got their first Sweet 16-plus playoff win. They made a run to the Final Four, which is great. They need to keep showing up and making Elite Eights and Final Fours. They can't keep getting bounced out of the Sweet 16. Devin has improved drastically over the course of an entire year. He is the best shooter in rec right now. If he's wide, if he's open, it's a layup. So they can always build around that, but he needs to rely on his teammates, especially late in games. Them need to get other guys to step up and play with Devin as opposed to setting screens for him and watching him take bad shots. I think they can keep making Final Fours and Elite Eights, but they need to get a bench, because if you're going to have guys on the bench, I think Joe played 0 minutes tonight, and Grant's maybe played 5. You can't go iron 5 in a playoff game with that type of intensity. It wears on you. You can't play 44 minutes full energy. Nobody has that in them. If they're going to play the style of basketball they're going to play, they need to get 2 guys off the bench that they feel comfortable with playing minutes. And it'll be interesting to see, you mentioned they're going to add players. It'll be interesting to see who they add, but they better be playing more than 8 combined minutes out of 2 guys.
So the Avengers, they obviously advanced to the Rec Championship game tonight in Fridley, or tomorrow night in Fridley. I actually had a chance to speak with Derek Batiste, general manager for the Avengers. Here's what he had to say. All right, UH Nation, I'm here with Derek Batiste of the Avengers. Patience, the name of the game tonight. Talk about your game plan coming in.
Well, it was actually for me to play the middle and basically collapse the zone. Obviously, it wasn't working out. Chris turned out to be better in the middle. And, against their zone, it's basically about getting a good shot and waiting, not taking the first decent look, but waiting for a really good look. So that's what we tried to do.
I mean, yeah, there were possessions that were 45 seconds long, and especially in the second half. Was that a big point in over halftime?
No, just getting a good shot. So obviously there's no shot clock, so there's no point in taking, like I said, a decent look when you know a good look will come if you just wait long enough. So that was what I emphasized in the huddle at halftime, and we did it for a solid amount of our possessions, and it turned out to be the difference for us.
What's the key tomorrow night?
I don't know who we're playing.
Okay. Thank you. That was Derek Batiste. He says their game plan was to get a good shot. I think at halftime they spoke and they went into a little bit of delay mode because they were in zero hurry to do anything, which is the right way to do it. So do you side more with Derek and say they were waiting for good shots, which they were, or do you think they were purposely maybe even stalling a bit?
Once again, I highlighted this. A zone is an awful defense to play when you're down more than a couple possessions, because all the team has to do is swing the ball around until they get a good shot. There's no sense of urgency for that team to shoot. So were they waiting for a good shot? Yeah. But were they delaying, maybe playing around the horn? Why not? I don't think they were forced to do anything. It's up to them to switch into man and start putting full court pressure as soon as they get, they don't have to go full court pressure, but go into man and start putting some pressure on the ball handler when you're down 6-7 points. You can't just stick with a zone in a situation like that. The Avengers played it smart. They moved the ball around. They took 40-45 seconds per possession, maybe for 3-4 possessions in a row, and it's a killer when you play great zone defense for 35 seconds and then one opening comes and somebody hits a big 3. It's a huge deflator. I think they did a bad job of adjusting, and the Avengers stuck to their game plan, and I'm guessing, assumed that them would eventually come out of it, and them did come out of it. They cut it down to 5, but just didn't have enough. And I think they made a mistake by waiting too long.
Second game of the night, Celtics versus Rebels, a rematch of the Winter 2014 championship game. Rebels come out on top. Let's start out with John Moore, who I had a chance to interview. Here's what he had to say. All right, UH Nation, I'm here with John Moore. Not the ending you envisioned for tonight. What went wrong?
The Rebels came out, and the Rebels wanted it more. The Rebels played classic Rebel basketball, and we got back to not playing Celtic Gold Cup basketball.
You guys struggled to get into a rhythm offensively, for sure. Marcus wasn't on his game tonight. Do you think a lot of that could be the fact that he hasn't played with you guys a lot this season?
No. I mean, please, everybody, as far as you can, check the tape, but anytime we beat the Rebels, it's because we pass and cut. They play great defense. They play great on-ball defense. They use their hands a lot. The refs don't call that, and that's fine, and we should know that. So anytime you try to dribble penetrate, chance of you being successful is very limited. Anytime we beat them, it's because we pass, we cut, and we find it easy. We probably went through a good 4, 5, 7 minute point there to where we didn't get any buckets. I mean, granted, they made some shots, but I'm sure I'll catch flack for this, but the better team lost tonight. Period, point blank. I have all the respect for the Rebels, so Joe Bagadorans, don't get mad at me, but the better team lost. But they wanted it, and they deserved to win, but the better team lost.
What does next season hold in store for the Celtics franchise?
We're going to have our D-League team out here. We're going to have Brandon playing. We're going to have the bad players playing. So we're going to have Brandon. We're going to have Noe playing. We're going to have Twan playing. We're going to have Devin playing. We're going to have Q playing. Yeah.
Thank you, John.
Hey. Just real quick, it'll be the Avengers, Rebels tomorrow night. I think I gave the Avengers some billboard material the first playoff game of the season. I think that the Avengers might be on a mission, but if the Rebels come out and they play the way they played tonight, they should win. So I would say that the Rebels win with free throws 9 tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations on the good season.
Thank you, and bye-bye, UH.
That was John Moore. He said the better team lost tonight. You predicted the Celtics. I predicted the Celtics. Is he right?
They're not the better team. The Rebels are the best team in Ultimate Hoops, in rec. I mean, they define team. So I don't think the better team lost. The more talented team lost, that's for sure. Here's the thing. The Celtics played this game like every other team does against the Rebels for the first time. It's almost like they've never seen them before. If they passed, the Celtics were passing when there's either a double team that comes or if they left their feet and they got stuck. They never felt comfortable. You never saw them get in a rhythm offensively with comfort, coming off screens, passing, moving. They always felt that this is our last chance to get a good shot. This little slight opening that I have, this is the best shot I'm going to get. And they settled for long jumper after long jumper after long jumper. And it got the Rebels' feet off of that, and the Celtics got frustrated. They got a few bad calls from the refs that they felt were bad calls. I mean, I tend to agree with them on a few of them. And they started arguing with the refs, took their focus away from the Rebels, and they were playing a game against the refs, a game against the Rebels, and if that happens, you're never going to beat the Rebels that way. So it was a little bit disappointing that they couldn't keep their cool and kind of stay focused. I can't imagine that was Jay Moore's game plan tonight, to just watch guys go one-on-one against the Rebels team. They had the trio out for a lot of that game. J-Sam was matched up against Pat, against Justin, against Dustin for about 15, 20 possessions in that game. I'd say 15 possessions in that game, and he maybe saw the ball twice. Don't know what they were thinking there, but I'm assuming they'll come back. I don't think they're going to have their same rosters.
We saw some deals going down with Jay Moore.
Down. So it's disappointing that that's how the Celtics have ended, and hopefully come back at some point with that similar team, because they're very talented, of course. But the Rebels got their number tonight, and they wanted it from that last season. You can tell.
Yeah, it wasn't really close after the first 8 minutes, maybe 10, 12 minutes. So Celtic or the Rebels did a nice job. We had a chance to speak with Paul Ferber of the Rebels. Here's Paul. All right, UH Nation, I'm here with Paul Ferber. Big win tonight. I got to ask right off the bat, you have a rivalry with the Celtics that goes back a while. Do you guys generally dislike each other?
I think we respect each other. They're a great organization. They got a lot of really good players. But it's a rivalry. I think we have our individual conflicts with certain people on the team. I mean, I think it's well known Smolarek and I are not going to, be the greatest friends. But I think, we respect them. But, whether we're friends with the team or not off the court, once, the tip goes off, we give it everything we have. And, that's what we did tonight. I mean, 34 points, versus that talented of a team, that's a hell of a accomplishment for us defensively.
You didn't necessarily shoot any better from the three-point line today, but the outcome was much different from 2.5 months ago. What was the difference?
I think we were a little more consistent on defense. I think the thing that I was a little surprised about, and don't get me wrong, picking the Celtics to win was his very reasonable pick, but I think, had we not fouled Marshall, we were forced to foul Marshall with 2 minutes to go and the last time we played him. He got 7 or 8 points in that stretch. If not, we would have held him under 50 points, which was always our goal. So I was a little surprised to hear, I think their offense is going to be too much for us, because I felt like we played a good defensive game last time. We just couldn't do the offense. As far as what was different, not a whole lot was different. I think we just didn't allow them to get in much of a rhythm, and we somehow refrained from them making a big run, getting an open three, a turnover, and kind of getting them going. They were pretty even. They were spending a lot of time complaining against the refs, and we didn't let them get up, because if they get a little bit of confidence, who knows what could happen. So I think that was the difference. But, not much, honestly. I didn't think we could shoot as bad as we did. Last game, we kind of did. But at the same time, they're a heck of a defensive team. They, maybe don't get up for everyone. Maybe they play when they want to play. But, they get up for us. And you can tell they're engaged, and they're a really tough team to get a shot off against. So, they're a great defensive team.
Have you guys faced off against the Avengers before?
We've played them a few times in the past. I don't think we've lost to them in the playoffs. I'm not 100% sure. We might have only played them once or twice in the playoffs.
What's the game plan for tomorrow night?
Much of the same. Our goal is always, run if we can, play solid D, try to hold the team under 50 points, and then see what happens. It's really not that complicated, whether we play Avengers, Blue Chips, whoever. So we're just going to try to do that. If we play D like we played tonight, I think we'll do fine. I don't think these Avengers have quite the defensive prowess of the Celtics, so I hope we can get a little more offensive rhythm going. I don't know. I'd be interested. I think they might play zone, seeing how it worked pretty well against Briggs and the Blue Chips, so we'll see. But we'll be ready for whatever.
One last thing. John Moore just got done telling me, the straight look on his face, the better team tonight lost. What's your message to Jay Moore?
I if he said that, I think that's I don't agree with that statement. Clearly we were in control of that entire game. I don't know. Maybe the free throw percentage, we shot horrendous at the free throws, but everything else, I'd like to check the box score and see in what area they played better than us. I would question whether you could find any. So I think clearly, we're the better team tonight, and we showed it.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks.
That was Paul Ferber. So his Rebels will take on the Avengers. Fridley, 7:30. Who do you have and why?
If the Rebels played the way they played tonight, there's not a single team in rec that can beat them on their best night. If the Avengers played their best basketball and the Rebels played like they did tonight, the Rebels will still win by 10. The Avengers, here's the thing that worries me about the Avengers. They've been here before and they haven't gotten it done. There's a huge amount of pressure on them to get it done. The Rebels play with no pressure. They've won multiple championships. It's their comfort zone. They love games like this, and they know how to play together as a team, and they never get out of sorts. With the Avengers, I can just see them kind of going to get in a shell, especially if the Rebels start getting on a little bit of a roll defensively. I can see the Avengers kind of folding, and this could be a 15, 20-point game, potentially. The key to the game will be if the Avengers don't start out hot, if they don't have 15 points by, probably the 15-minute mark, 13 to 15-minute mark, if they don't come out hot, I don't think they can beat the Rebels, because the Rebels will only get better as the game goes on, and that worries me. The matchups will likely be this is what it's been before. Now, I think they might change it up, but Ferber's gone to Maher, but I actually think Jansen moves to Maher for this game. I think Maher's guarded by Jansen. I think Dustin gets Noe. Justin Montez or Pat is going to guard Trey, and then Cody's going to guard Derek. Paul will then be able to guard Briggs and roam a little bit. So the big issue now for the Avengers is, well, their 3 main players are going to be guarded by 3 elite defenders. So Trey Sales and Jason Briggs and Greg Regenscheid and Kevin Mayer need to have big games. They all need to play well in that game. The problem with Trey is tonight his free throws didn't go down. So if he has a size advantage, they can just foul him, and he's got to make his free throws. Greg's got to make his threes, and Briggs has to be active around the paint. I don't think all of that can work in one night, so that's why I'm going to think the Rebels will win, and I think they'll win by 13.
Thank you, sir. Fridley, Lifetime Fitness, 7:30. Rebels go for their 4th Gold Cup. Avengers go for their 1st All-Star game. Fridley versus Bloomington South will follow. I'm hoping we get enough guys to show up for that. It should be a fun time.
How
So
many confirmed?
I think there's quite a few confirmed. I don't think we have 10 confirmed, but I think there are quite a few confirmed. So we're getting close. So we'll see you tomorrow night, guys. Have a good one.